share my screen. Okay. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON. And we are discussing chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, and verse number 7. So we completed verses 1 to 6 last week. So we'll jump on to verse number 7. Oh, this is beautiful verse. This is the most popular verses, right? One of the most popular verses. So yeah, I can get you one of you to read. Maybe Sushma can read this verse.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य नातिर्भवति भारत अभुत्यानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं स्मृजम्यहम्.
Hmm. Okay. Translation.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Hmm. So it is said that many times in the lectures also we hear that Krishna is the supreme Lord, right? And it's not that he has to personally appear to kill the demons. Demons are not stronger than Krishna, obviously. Then Krishna can, easily come and kill them, or he could send his representatives or agents. Srila Prabhupada says this as well. From Srila Prabhupada only we are all repeating. So Srila Prabhupada says that he can send agents to kill the demons. He doesn't have to appear personally, but still he does. Why? So Sushma, maybe you can share your views. Why Krishna appears personally? Yes, Sushma.
Oh, sorry, Mataji, I was on mute and I was talking.
Oh, okay.
So in this verse, what Krishna is saying is whenever dharma deteriorates or when adharma rises, then he will take an avatar and come here to protect the dharmis and to get rid of adharmis. And so there is a word called srujami here, wherein it means that he can take birth whenever he wants, in whichever form he wants. I mean, it's basically saying that he's very independent. Um,
Yeah, but why he personally appears? Yes, we understand that from this verse, these are the reasons, but actually, there are more than these reasons. So, see, for killing demons or re establishing dharmic principles, again, he can send agents. So, not necessarily he has to come, but still, he chooses to come. So, do any of you know why?
Maybe because he wants to stress the importance of dharma. Like, I mean, he's personally coming in to protect dharma. I mean, just to protect his devotees and his, because he's called as Bhakta Vatsala. So whenever there is a problem to his devotees, he would take an avatar and come. Like, for example, Prahalad. When Hiranyakashipu was trying to trouble Prahalad, Krishna, I mean, he took the form of Narsimha and personally came just to protect his devotees and stress the importance of dharma, maybe. I mean, I'm guessing, Mataji,
Yes,
but
yes, yes. Good guess. That is good guess. And Sumana, you were saying something?
Yeah, almost the same Mataji, like because he's called like he doesn't want his devotees to suffer.
Hmm.
So he personally comes to protect them and to re-establish dharma in the minds of all the human beings.
Hmm. So, yes, both of you are correct. So, Krishna appears personally because the feats that he performs cannot be done by anyone else. So, yes, he can send his agents to kill the demons, true, but there are so many more to it. So, when he comes, he not only kills the demon, there are so many aspects, more aspects to it, correct? Like he comes and spends time with his devotees like gopis and gopas, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba. So many devotees that he is actually personally giving his association to them because that's what they wanted. So there was a Jambavan. Any of you know the story of Jambavan?
Yes, Mataji.
Mm. So Jambavan's story, you can see he is a bear, and he actually was in the Lord Ramachandra's pastime, right? So he helped with the Lanka fight, the battle. But because he had long life, so he continued to stay even after Satyuga. He was still living in the cave even during Dwapara Yuga. So he has this chivalry act. He likes to fight, right? And the same time, Krishna also likes to fight. So for Krishna to reciprocate the love with his devotees, it doesn't necessarily mean very kind love, very caring love, or like a Madhuri Bhav. Not necessarily. So he can go like Madhurya Bhav, yeah. He can go in any way to please his devotees, and so the devotees as well. So they also wanted to do the same thing to Krishna, like Bhishma. So they are all falling under the chivalry rasa. So they are just so into fighting mood, and that rasa Krishna reciprocates with them. So 28 days, I think, when Syamantaka jewel was lost, that actually the Syamantaka jewel originally coming from Srimati Radharani. It's a good story. But it's a long story though. Do you want to hear or we move on?
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji, we want to hear because we didn't know that it is from Radharani. We
Hmm.
just know that it is from Satyajit like that. So Sun God has built it.
Yeah. So originally from Radharani. So what happened after Krishna left to Dwaraka? um Everyone in Vrindavan, they became very devastated. They couldn't bear the separation from Krishna. The pain of separation was so much, and you can imagine how much pain that Radharani would go through. And she was in so much pain. She became mad only. She looks at anything black, she would go and talk to him, talk to the thing like whether a tree or a bee or anything like that. Also, she would ask the mountains, Govardhan mountain, she would go climb up and ask, did you see my Prananatha Krishna? Where is he? And then Lalita would convince her, try to console her, please, Radha, don't get sad. And definitely Krishna will come back because Krishna promised that he will come back. So please don't worry. Or maybe he is playing a prank on us. So maybe he is still in the forest, one of the Vrindavan, one of the forest in Vrindavan. So maybe he is here. So let's go search. And then they were searching and searching, but anyway, they couldn't find, and she became very sad, and she was feeling the burning, burning of fire in her heart due to the separation. She wanted to cool down. She wanted to cool it down, so she went to Yamuna and said, look, let me take bath in Yamuna. I think Yamuna invites, or she wanted to go inside. So Lalita and Vishaka, not Lalita and Vishaka, sorry, Lalita and Radharani both enter into the Yamuna river to cool the body down. And what happened was, Sun God asked Yamuna to bring Radharani and Lalita to Sun planet. So what she does, she draws them inside the Yamuna waters, and then she takes her to what is it? Take them to the Sun planet. So when going to the Sun planet, but what happens here though? Look, everyone was searching for Krishna, and then suddenly Radha and Lalita, went into the water, and they disappeared. So they all thought they were drowned, and they disappeared like that. They died. So they thought like that. But they were taken to the Sun planet, and the Sun God invited them. And then she became very sad only, and she Yamuna is the daughter of the Sun God. Okay, there are two children for Sun God, and Vivashwan, and his wife's name is Samya. Nya means Jnana, Samya means awareness. So that awareness is the wife of the Sun God. So they have two children. So how these two children were born, there is another story to it. When Samya and sun god got married, Samya, very clever woman. So awareness means what? Like total high intelligence, right? So you're aware of everything. So sun god approaching the wife, newly wedded wife, just to just to have some conversation or fun or whatever, union, anything. So he approaches the wife as anyone, any new husband would approach a new wife, because she suddenly closed the eyes. So she suddenly closed the eyes, and the sun god got offended, and then he cursed the wife, Samya, and said, "Look, because you closed your eyes, you will have a son. Uh, who Wherever he goes, everyone will close their eyes by looking at him." Then she didn't argue anything. What would normally the wife would do? "Oh, I didn't mean to do this, and you're so rude, you cursed me, blah blah," like that. Normally the wife would do all that. Even for normal thing, if husband asked to pass on to the water bottle or something, and wife asked to pass on, and then pass it on, and wife drops or husband drops, what will happen? There will be an argument. "Can't you even do this job properly?" Like that, they will keep going with the fight, right? But here Samya was very clever. She said, "Oh my lord, what can I do? Because you're so bright, you're very effulgent, because of that I closed my eyes." And he felt bad. He started to feel bad. "Oh no, I cursed my wife unnecessarily." And then he apologized, but he said, "Look, I can't take the curse back. I don't know how. So what do we do? Maybe I'll do something more to it, just to balance. So yes, you will definitely have a son who, wherever he goes, everyone will close their eyes. That will still happen. But also, I will give you a daughter whenever the there is a fear. Because of the fear, they will close their eyes." That's what he said. Whenever there is a fear for this personality of that is your son, they can go to this person to get that benediction, to be removed from that, to be freed from that fear. So those two personalities were Yamaraj and Yami. uh, Sorry, Yami, yeah, Yamaraj, Yam and Yami. So Yamaraj and Yamuna. Okay, so these are the two personalities born for sun god and sun god Vivashwan and Samya. Okay, so when you see a Yamaraj, what you will do? Will you be happy and fearless and look at? But of course, the devotees are very fearless. When Yamaraj comes, they will engage their association with them and to learn more about Krishna, because he is one of the Mahajanas. There are 12 Mahajanas, correct? And he is one of them. So obviously, devotees, like Yamaraj came as Vidura, who is the younger brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Correct? Remember? So he came as Vidura. That time, someone else was nominated to perform the duties for Yamaraj. So that was happening there. So therefore, Vidura was there. Arjuna, the Pandavas were so close with Vidura, and Vidura exactly reciprocating the same. And he is a very great devotee of the Lord also. Okay, so we know those things as well. From that, we can understand Yamaraj is not an ordinary person, but people who have done sins, for them Yamaraj is the fear personified. Okay. So when they see, they at the time of death, what happens when they see Yamaraj? When the Yamaraj comes, means it's a death only, time for death, time for dying. So when they open, what they do, they will close their eyes because they are so fearful, and then they die. Correct. But to be freed from this fear, what they do is they have to remove the sins, so that way they don't have to see Yamaraj. For that, they go and take water in the holy river, that is Yamuna. And there is verse also. So when you do that, what happens? Yamuna Devi will remove your sins, and then will free you from all the fear, you know that you will have for Yamaraj. So that will that will be happening. So from that, we can understand those things, right? Anyway, for now, Radharani is here in the sun planet, and she is still sad. She was saying, "Look, Lalita was saying, oh, why did you bring us here? Krishna is not here. What is a great deal about sun god?" Even Narayana came one time after performing Rasa Leela, that Radharani and Krishna were, they went in isolation. And Krishna, Radharani felt little proud that, oh, Krishna is spending more time with me. So this is great. Normally, what happens, like normally, a woman would become little proud of herself, that of her beauty, of her, or her unconditional love, or whatever it is. Sometimes, but again, this is pastime, right? So Radharani will never get proud of herself. This is all pastime, just to teach us lessons only. So we shouldn't think, oh, immediately, oh, Radharani was proud of herself, and why can't I be? No, this is all pastime. So just to teach us some lessons. Even Radharani can behave such a way, so just to teach us a lesson. So when Radharani was in isolation with Krishna, she felt that pride within immediately. Of course, Krishna is all knower, right? He is in everyone's heart, not just but Paramatma, that is Paramatma actually only for material. When you are in the material world for already ordinary living entities, but for spiritual world, Paramatma is not there at all. Paramatma only present here. Therefore, Paramatma is not necessary for Radharani, because Radharani, Krishna only in our heart for everybody, correct? So whether they like Krishna or don't like Krishna, Krishna resides in every living entity's heart in the material world, because we are conditioned, so we need guidance, so he's there. But for Radharani, she is her body, soul, everything spiritual. Therefore, she, and her consciousness, her body, her mind, everything is thinking of Krishna only. Therefore, she doesn't need separate guidance from Krishna to be present as Paramatma in her heart. So that is not necessary. That is one thing. So now that Krishna understood Radharani's, that proud, so immediately he disappeared. When he disappeared, then she felt really bad. Even when when Krishna went to Dwaraka, she felt very um, guilty, that she was feeling that I wasn't grateful enough to Krishna when he was around. I was taking advantage of him. I didn't treat him well. I didn't give my full love. How much he loved me. Now that he left, now I feel so sad, and I feel that I was so ungrateful. That's how she felt. Even us also, right? So Krishna is giving us everything, but still we are ungrateful to Krishna, correct? So in the sense, not fully grateful. We are grateful to some extent, but not always. So even one single grain of food that we have on our plate, or the single sand particle on the roof above us, everything is because of Krishna. Hmm? Someone might have a job, someone might not have a job, someone might be sick, someone might be healthy. Everything is Krishna's mercy. So when we don't see that gratefulness, what happens is we will feel morose and we will never be satisfied. Only when we connect with Krishna and his devotees, we will always be satisfied and happy. Now that Krishna is not present, she felt that separation. And then Lalita was saying, oh, yes, um, when we were looking for Krishna, that time we were looking for him everywhere. Like after that pastime, like they were like, oh, what happened? Krishna left us. So let's all search together. So everyone formed a group, and then they were searching here, there, and everywhere. And when Radharani was coming with one group, there was Narayana. That Narayana is none other than that Krishna only. He pretended himself to be Narayana. Of course, Narayana comes from Krishna only. But there, he was real Krishna. He just, manifested himself as Narayana with four-handed form. So when these girls came, and the girls looked at Narayana, they were not even surprised or pleased or anything, because they were so Krishna conscious. They just felt that he's one of, like, demigods, like a very big personality, yes, but not as big as Krishna. Now I'm looking for Krishna. Where is Krishna? That is all their mood and thought and question. So they approached this Narayana. Of course, they offered obeisances nicely, and then asked, dear Lord Narayana, did you see Krishna? And then Narayana said, yes, I did see. What he did with his forehand, he showed the direction of this way, and the other hands showing that way. There is another other two hands showing this way. So they were like, oh my god, what is he doing? He's showing everywhere. Where did Krishna really go? But they didn't even care about Narayana. So that past time, Lalita was talking to sun god in the sun planet, that, oh, what's the big deal about this planet? We saw Narayana, who is bigger than sun planet, correct? Sun god. So what is big deal? We even saw Narayana, we didn't even care about him, and he was cheeky enough to show us in four different direction of where Krishna is. See, not only Krishna is cheeky, Narayana also cheeky. One time, there is another story. One time, when Lord Shiva invited Lord Narayana to come for a wedding, he went there, right? What Lord Shiva wears, nothing. Pretty much the snake, as a, everywhere that bangles or armlet or for necklace or crown, everything is snake, correct? Also for his skirt, which is made up of tiger skin or deer skin, one or the other, I think tiger skin. So for the tiger skin to to be on the hip, he has to wear some belt, so he was using a snake as a belt. So Lord Narayana came right to the wedding, and that time he saw Shiva coming. He just wanted to do some prank, and he invited Garuda. So when eagle comes, snake will be afraid, right? So obviously Garuda is like bird, king of all the birds, and of course the carrier for Lord Narayana. So he invited Garuda for the wedding. After, sometimes you go to the wedding and you want to play some prank to the groom or the bride. You will call old friend and say, come, let's do some prank, and then he will come, and then you do some jokes and tease him, etc. So that was his plan as well. So Narayana called Garuda came immediately. The snakes became very afraid. Oh my god, what if the Garuda is hungry and starts to eat all of us? So let's run away. So everyone ran away, including the belt that was holding the skirt. The skirt fell down. That time, this Lord Shiva's mother-in-law was about to receive Lord Shiva to the temple hall. I mean, not temple hall, sorry, wedding hall. So she was going to do arati to invite him. So she is coming right in front of Lord Shiva with other women, like elderly woman, and Narayana is there, and everyone is there. And then that time only Garuda came, and this snake left, and the skirt fall down, and he is standing naked. Who's standing naked? Lord Shiva. This Lord Narayana was cheeky. He made that arrangement to bring Garuda, so snakes became afraid and they left. And then this mother-in-law to be, she became obviously very shy and afraid of looking at Shiva. She dropped the arati plate, ran inside, and Shiva was looking like, what happened? He couldn't even recollect what happened and why all this happening, and this is how Narayana is also cheeky. It's not that Krishna only cheeky. These all guys, Vishnu Devadatta are also cheeky only. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he is Krishna himself. He was also cheeky when he was small. He would pass urine, I think on the Brahmana's plate or something, and he would make a mess and the Brahmana's offering. So he was doing all those things. And Krishna was doing the same thing, right? So yeah. So coming back here, that time Radharani was sad, and then she removed her Shyamantaka jewel and gave it to sun god and said, "Look, take it. I'm not very happy. I'm just sad, and I don't need all these things. And let me give it to you." Then she gave that Shyamantaka jewel. The sun god got, and then he invited Satrajit, a king. And then Satrajit came, and then sun god said, "Look, this is Radharani's Shamantaka jewel. You can take it with you. This is not ordinary. If you keep it in your kingdom, it will produce like 1500 kilos of gold or something like that every day. So much opulence. And also the health of the citizens will be very good. So no disease will come into that kingdom. So please take it with you. Also, take her, Radharani, as Satyabhama to the earth planet. And then when Krishna is ready to come marry Satyabhama, you give Satyabhama to Krishna. When Krishna is ready and he will come to you, that time you will marry Satyabhama to Krishna. So that was the plan. So that way Radharani became Satyabhama in the sun planet, and then came to earth planet, and then got married to Krishna. Okay. Therefore Radharani did not disappear from the pastime totally, but she was in the first half she was Radharani, in the second half she was Satyabhama. Therefore she was eternally spending time with Krishna only. Okay. So that was a nice one. So these are the pastimes that Krishna performs. Who will perform these pastimes? So for when the Syamataka jewel was lost, he was searching for it because Satrajit was accusing that Krishna was the one who stole it. So therefore Krishna want to make this thing straight. Obviously this is all Krishna's leela only. It's not that Satyajit wanted to do that, because Jambavati marriage has to happen, and Krishna has to go to Jambavan to fight with him for 28 days and night. These are the other reasons why that Satyajit was so rude and told these type of accusation on Krishna. So this is again Krishna's arrangement only. We shouldn't think, oh, why this, why that. It's all Krishna's arrangement. We should just accept as it is and cooperate with Krishna. Whatever happened to us or any situation, we should cooperate with Krishna. That way we will be happy. If see what happens if a child doesn't understand what we are saying and argues with us and says no, I can't do it. If you ask your child to do something, the child will, no, I can't do it. How do you feel? You feel irritated, right? So if the child cooperates with you, mommy, yes, daddy, yes, what is it, what can I do? Because this is good for me, I know, I'll take the medicine. Sometimes the bitter medicine will be bitter, obviously. So the child will not like it. When the child understands this is for my own good, mommy and daddy giving, then obviously the child will become better. So the trust for the child, that's trust on the parents for the child, will increase day by day after cooperating. But not cooperating only, the child will never understand, because the child is not cooperating to do the right thing. He will end up doing the wrong thing and then he'll suffer only. So therefore he will never develop the trust on parents. So this is how exactly it works for us also with Krishna. When Krishna gives us any reversible, not reversible, but a reverse situation, like, oh, we are expecting everything to go smooth, but there is a big thunderstorm happening in our life, then what happens? We are not cooperating with Krishna. We are going against Krishna and saying, oh, how this could happen to me? I've done everything right. How this could happen to me? Okay, now on, I'm not going to do this or that. Not necessarily they would do that kind of woe, but still they just do that only naturally, because they don't have any mood whatsoever to do anything to do with Krishna, whether offering any food every day or chanting nicely or going to the temple or doing any seva or any like hearing or chanting or conversing with devotees. They start to reduce all this. When you increase these all things, purification will be in boom. But when you start to reduce, what will happen? The suffering will only be in boom, correct? So when Krishna comes, he gives he gives his association to not only devotees but also to the demons. By simply the demons looking at Krishna's face upon death, what more you need, right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, ante kala smaran maram, correct? Antakale, what is that verse? I can't remember. So at the time of death, if you remember Krishna, you'll go to Krishna. So therefore, when the demons are being killed by Krishna, they are looking at Krishna. They are Krishna consciousness there. Even though that Krishna consciousness is not favorable, but still they are in Krishna consciousness. That's how Krishna sees it. But if it was us, we will see it as, aha, you were in uh, a fearful consciousness. You were afraid of death, and you didn't even worship me. Just get out of here, go to hell. That's us. But Krishna is not like that. Yes, he is in Krishna consciousness, even though they were in the opposite way, not in the favorable way. So that's how Krishna sees. So he gives association to all of us, not only the devotees. Okay, so through Bhagavad Gita, he is giving us association every day. Every time we read Bhagavad Gita, he is giving us his association. So he manifests in so many forms, so many ways. As a book, Bhagavatam is Krishna only. It's personified. Krishna only, that is also. So therefore we shouldn't think, oh, Krishna comes to dharma, to put dharma in order, and um, to eradicate adharma. No, he doesn't have to come for that and all personally. But there are more good reasons to it. That's why he comes. And obviously, as I said before, that is him who can do those things. It's not any other ordinary agents who can come and do all the things that he can do. Sumana, can you please read this verse? Or did you read the last verse? Whoever read the last verse, the other one can read this next verse.
Yes, Mataji. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे. To deliver the pious and to once Mataji.
Mm.
To deliver the highest and to annihilate the miscreants as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium and millennium.
Mm. So we already discussed very elaborately on the seventh verse, which covers this verse also. But in this verse, it is in the purport. It is talked about. Srila Prabhupada talks about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's none other than Krishna himself, who appeared in Navadip Dwam 525 or 550 years ago. And he came for the same reasons, right? To give association to his devotees, to re-establish the principles, dharmic principles, and eradicate the adharma. And but more than that, he came to give Harinam. Okay, he came to give this love of Krishna to everybody. He came to give this love of Krishna through a process called mantra meditation, which is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Absolutely, for this reason only, he came by the prayer of what is his name? Advaita Acharya. Sri Advaita Acharya prayed sincerely with Tulsi Rani and Chaligram Sila and prayed to Krishna, please come, this Kali Yuga people. That time Kali Yuga people were so pious compared to the people now. So you can imagine 550 years ago, it was still good, right? There was no cars and no aeroplanes and no pollution. There was farming nicely happening. So many good things still happening, right? At the beginning of Kali Yuga, so 432,000 years old Kali Yuga will be. Okay, every time Kali Yuga comes, it will last for 432,000 years. Okay, and if you multiply by 2, that would be your previous yuga, that is Dwapara Yuga, right? And then if you multiply by 3, then it will become Treta, previously, Dwapara and then Treta. And then if you multiply by 4 of 432,000 years, it will be Satya Yuga. So that's the lifespan of that particular yuga. And if you complete this 4 yuga, means it's 1 yuga cycle. If you multiply that by 1,000, 1,000 yuga cycle is half a day of Brahma. Okay, then you can imagine if he lives for 100 years, it would be trillions, 411 trillion years or something is what one half a day. And then half a day means what, 12 hours. And then another 12 hours would be his night time, right? The same amount of time. That is the his lifetime. For him it's 12 hours only. For us, that many years. Okay, so for earth years. So every day of Brahma, Krishna comes in Dwapara Yuga. Okay, and Krishna, Brahma, when he dies after 100 years, that means you multiply that by 365, that 411 trillion years or something, multiply by 2 because it's 24 hours means one day, multiply by 2, and then you multiply that by 365, that is 1 year, then multiply that by 100 years, 100 times, that is 100 years he would live. That would be the lifespan of Brahma. But that's too many, right? Way too many. So yeah, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, his incarnation was really mentioned everywhere because that is very confidential information, it's a guhyam. Guhyam means secret. So those kind of confidential information will not be revealed everywhere, but it was revealed um, in Bhagavatam, but in a way that only acharyas can understand and tell. Okay, not everyone can understand and tell. So that's the thing. So next verse will go. Alright. So 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam yevom yevetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma na yeti mameti sa Arjuna. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Okay, so this verse is very important because what happens, some people, even in India, they think, oh, they know Krishna. But obviously, who knows Krishna well? Nobody. Even Brahma or Shiva cannot understand Krishna. Even Brahma Shamita Krishna, when Brahma sings that he can't fully understand Krishna, and Shiva says he can't understand Krishna. And then great acharyas repeatedly say the great sages or Lord Brahma or even Lord Shiva cannot understand what to speak of my understanding towards you, Krishna. So that should be our mood also. Because if we think, oh, I know Krishna, then it is not true. Obviously, no one can know Krishna fully, correct? But we can understand what pleases him by reading Bhagavad Gita, by hearing from the devotees. We can understand. So we can guarantee that yes, if I do these activities will please Krishna. So therefore I know him little bit. That's for sure we can tell, but not more. Why he does what he does and all, we don't know, but he will reveal. Okay, if it is necessary for us to know, he will reveal to us. Otherwise he would be like, sometimes you go to the doctor looks at your scan and everything, and then he, even today for my husband also, the neurologist looked at the pictures. It was hundreds of pictures actually, the scan images, and he was looking and looking and then said that yes, there is something, there is some problem, and it is considered to be minor at the moment. We need to follow up, but for you, not necessary to know what is it, so it's okay. So you can leave it and then move on. So, but we will follow up in 6 months. So why I'm telling you, because even doctor knows what he has to tell you, what not. If something you have to know, yes, doctor will 100% tell you, and then you can act accordingly. Similarly, Krishna will also tell us something, if something happening to us, right? So not necessarily good things, sometimes it looks like bad, but obviously from Krishna's perspective, everything is good only. He wouldn't put us into trouble, so-called trouble, for us to suffer only, but rather for us to learn some lessons or go through our karma, burning our karma. So there are reasons why he would put us through some so-called suffering. But if we are in Krishna consciousness, the suffering will not be suffering for us, because we are always in Krishna consciousness, whether it's good or bad. That is Sitta Prajna. Okay, we read it in previous chapters, right? Chitta Prajna. So when you have that fixed consciousness on Krishna, we don't have to worry about, well, yeah, today I have a bad day. Yesterday it was a good day. Well, this is life. That's fine. Krishna knows what is his plan, is what is best for me. Let me go with that. So let me cooperate and execute his plan. So that way you are happy, Krishna is happy. We have stress-free life. If we stress about, oh no, why this happened to me? This is unfair. No, it can't be. I need to know why this happened. And then we think the person who gave that suffering, that big person becomes our enemy, unfortunately, correct? So for Pandavas, Duryodhana gave so many suffering, but Pandavas never considered Duryodhana as their enemy, correct? They still asked for the peace. Still, they asked for only 6 pieces of villages so they can go and survive like that. They didn't even ask for the entire kingdom, even though they are the one in the right situation where they are the one supposed to get the kingdom, correct? So they never become envious. In fact, Yudhishthira Maharaj is Ajata Satru. That means he never has his enemy is never born. So that means he has no enemies at all. That means he never considers anyone as enemy. Prahlad Maharaj, same thing. Correct. They consider everyone as the living entities and part and parcel of Krishna. When we also follow in their footsteps, when we also see everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, we will not be worried, right? We'll just see, yeah, it's fine. They are messenger who, like a postman delivers the mail. This is what Srila Prabhupada gives. This is his example, metaphor or analogy. He says that like when a postman gives you a parcel, um, or $100 money order or something. I don't know, money orders still exist here in this world, or maybe money transfer probably. So when you receive $100 money order, you wouldn't question the postman why, and why you gave this money. Do I deserve it? I don't deserve. Why did you give? No, he knows, the person, the recipient knows. Okay, he is a postman, he did his job, that's all. So that someone who has actually made him to give, someone has sent the money, so he's giving. Similarly, when there is a stick smacking you, then you should know that stick is not the person that is smacking you, even though yes, it's an instrument that was used to smack you, but rather the stick was actually handled by someone else. So who is that? Then we know Krishna. Okay, sometimes we need a smack, so Krishna will do that. Okay. All right, so I'll stop here. We only covered 3 verses, but nevertheless, we had discussed lots of story. So, yeah, any questions?
Mataji, you explained about Yama and Yami, right? And you said that Vidura is
Yes,
one form of even
Vidura.
Dharmaraj is.
Yes, Yamaraj and Dharmaraj same. So, Yamaraj came as Vidura in the past time, so he can be engaged in Krishna Leela. Yeah.
But is it possible, Mataji, in the same yuga, like two different people from same Yamaraj, can that be possible? Just asking.
See,
Because Vidura was a form of Yamadev and
Yamaraj was not
everything.
Yamaraj when he came as Vidura. So it's like it's a body only, right? So the soul is the truth one, yeah. So Yamaraj came to the earth planet as Vidura. So that time Yamaraj was not present in Yamaloka. So that's why I mentioned that someone else took care of Yamaloka that time. Somebody took charge for on behalf of Yamaraj. Does it answer your question?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
It is possible when you are like spiritually elevated. It is possible for example, Sukadev Goswami was a Sukha parrot. There are two parrots in the spiritual world for Krishna and Radha. The names are Sari and Sukha. Sari is the female parrot, Sukha is the male parrot. And Sukha, it is said that Sukha is Radha Rani's parrot. Sometimes I've heard it's Krishna's parrot. Regardless, I think it's other way around. It could be. But regardless, Sukha is coming from Radha and Krishna only. Okay, two parrots, and then Sukha is one of them. And Sukha became Sukadev Goswami in Leela. This Leela, that when writing Bhagavatam, reading, hearing, speaking Bhagavatam, sorry, to Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami came for Vyashadev. Mhm. And then he spoke. So this is possible. And Srila Rupa Goswami, when he was standing, was sitting, there is a other pastime also where, um, uh, the guru was in trance, but he went to spiritual world to help look for the ring, Radharani's ring in the river, in the spiritual planet. So he was in trance in the material world, in the earth planet. So he went in trance and it was 2 3 days and he never came out of the trance, because in the spiritual world it's very small amount of time, right? For us only it's big time. For I told you, Brahma's time is like compared to us is like for ant it will die in for about 1 day, but we live for 100 years. Means for ant we are big people. Oh my god, we live for 100 years. I only live for a day. Like that, for us Brahma is big personality. Similarly for spiritual world it's eternal, right? So there is, first of all, there is no time factors as such. So for here, 2 3 days spent on trance, but he is still searching for the ring for a little amount of time only. So his associates locally became very worried. What happened? Whether he is alive or he is in trance? What is it? If they're putting the fingers below the nose, they can't feel anything, and they're worried. So they wanted to go and call the disciple of this personality. I can't remember their names, but then because of the connection with Guru, he came by himself just to see Guru. And then they said, oh, we were about to come see you, that's great, you came. Like, now look, your Guru is looking like this, he never came out of trance, please help. Then he sat next to him and started to meditate. He went into trance to see where Guru went, but both of them are gopis from spiritual world. So he became that gopi and started searching for the ring, right? So he also went up there and started searching for the ring for the master, the Guru, so that he can come back, because it's not for time for him to disappear from the earth planet. He still needs to live for longer, so he has to he go there and bring him back. So he went there and then he started helping, and then he found the ring. Then he gave the ring to, I think he I told this story already when we discussed last year Radhashtami. I think I gave I know I told this story. So they went there. I mean, he went there and found the ring, and then he immediately did not return to Radharani. What we will do when our boss asks you to find a file from some folder, and you found a file, and then what you do? Not that your boss wanted it from you directly, but he boss told one boss, and then another boss, from him the hierarchy came. Finally, it came down to you. So what you would do, you directly go to the first person, tell, oh hey boss, he must be the chief boss. So he wanted to impress him. Sorry. So he would go and tell, look, I found it, and then he'd be like, great, I can give you something. No, he wouldn't do anything. He would just get the file and then say, okay, goodbye. But here, what is happening is the Gopi, who was the disciple of Guru in the material world, he did not give the ring to Radharani directly, even though Radharani wanted it, right? But he gave it to first Gopi, who is senior to him, and then she gave it to her senior, and then she gave it to Lalita, and then Lalita gave it to Radha. That is hierarchy they follow. This is Guru Parampara system. That's what we should follow also. We should not directly jump to Krishna. We have to go through Guru Parampara. Okay. I don't know if I answered your question or I went somewhere around and came.
I
No,
think her
Mataji.
question was Yamaraj is an incarnation of Vidura and also Dharmaraya. I mean, Yudhishthir, is it? Or
No,
is
no,
it
no, no,
just,
no, no.
it's just Vidura?
Only Vidura. The name given for Yudhishthira Dharmaraj because he's following Dharma. Also, he is also son of Dharmaraj. That's why. Sometimes Vasudeva, that type of thing.
Okay, so Yamaraj and Yudhishthir are not the same, right? I mean,
No, no,
until
no,
today,
no.
I had understood it like they are the same. So maybe my understanding was wrong.
No, they are not the same.
Okay.
Yamaraj was Vidura and Yudhishthira was Yudhishthira only. He was not.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought your question was how Yamaraj can come to, because as a Yamaraj, he was in the Yamaloka, then how can he come as Yamaraj, as Vidura? Yamaraj has come as Vidura. Yeah, that's what I thought, and I was trying to explain that way. Okay, okay. So now
Because
No,
I'm
I'm.
not
Mataji,
sure
because
where
Kunti
I've
was
heard or
there
read it,
as a
but I
judge.
always had this in my mind that Dharmaraya is Yamaraj. So when you said Yudhishthira is Vidura is an incarnation of Yamaraj, that's when I think she wanted to know how can he be Vidura and Yudhishthir.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, that is not possible because soul
Yeah.
only one, and the body you cannot multiply in different bodies. Yeah. So unless multiple personalities, that is different subject matter. Yeah. Sumana, you were saying something?
Because what we see in all the serials, they show that Kunti and Pandu Maharaj, they pray for a boon from Yamadharmaraya, and that's how Yudhishthira is born. And again, with Indra, Arjuna is born. So Ashwini Devas, Nakula and Sahadev.
Yes,
So
yes.
just wanted to check if he is born from boon of Yamaraj. Yamaraja himself is already born as Vidura, right? As you told. So how could that be possible? Was what I asked.
So they have this power, potency. So when they are situated, they can be present there also. Like Yamaraj, the prayers, look, Vidura is sitting and he can see, if he is doing Yamaraj duty also. But or the Yamaraj who was appointed there could have given that boon, blessing also. That is also possible. So,
Thank you,
what was your
Mataji.
question again? So, Yamaraj was present as Vidura, but how come he can give the boon, right? So,
Yes,
Yamaraj,
Mataji, because what we see is they both prayed for Yamaraj, and then
correct,
a boy was born, and they named him as Yudhishthira or Dharmaraja.
correct.
So when he already said, by then Vidura would have already taken birth, right, as
Yes,
Yamaraj.
yes,
So just wanted to check how Yamaraj appeared and
yes. So,
how
two
another
possibilities
Yamaraj
because
did.
it is a good question. It is not answered, from my knowledge, it's not answered as such or mentioned as such, like how that is possible. But my po- you know thoughts are in this. See, Yamaraj who took a position, he has responsibility to fulfill the desires of his devotees, like devotees in the sense whoever seeking his blessings, correct? So Kunti Maharani approached the Yamaraj's position. Again, Yamaraj is a position only, it's not a person. Okay, it's a position. So Yamaraj, that position left, came as Vidura. And then again he goes and appoint himself as Yamaraj once he finished this pastime. Brahma also position. It's not that Brahma is that person. So sun god also positioned. His name is Vivashwan. Correct? Indra also positioned. His name is uh, Chandra, not Chandra, but his name is something else. Sasi or something. So similarly, these are the positions. So when uh, someone has got the position of being an Emiraj, and Kunti Maharani comes and prays to that personality, then it's his duty to fulfill this desire because she deserves it. She got all the papers, qualifications done, so he gives the boon done. Or it could be Vidura could possibly give, but I believe this must be the right way of thinking, because Vidura, once he left Yamaraj's position, he is no longer Yamaraj, he is now Vidura only. So he can't
Correct.
just,
Okay.
even in the mind also, I don't think he would have that much capacity to give the boon being in Vidura's body. He could, because he's Yamaraj, he could, but most likely etiquette is, if I am the manager and someone else is on leave, the manager's position, whoever he was, I mean, he was previously in manager position, now I took the manager role and he left for holidays, and someone asking to do something, I am the one who has to do that, right? Not, I would not ask that person go and do, no, because it's my responsibility. So this is my understanding. And yeah, so any question, any other question on that, or
No, Mataji. Yeah, that could be whoever is Yama in charge, maybe he would have given that boon.
yeah, that is my thought as well. Yeah. Any other questions?
Mhm.
All right. Thank you very much. And once again, my apologies for being late earlier. It's just because of all those medical follow ups. So, yeah, we'll see you next week. And please continue to read from whatever we have discussed so far, previous verses. Try to read and understand and give this knowledge to others also. That's more important. So, I hope you're doing that already. So, please chant every day consistently, same amount of rounds, and increase slowly. And then read at least one book a day. In the sense, pick a book and pick a page or two or few pages and do it that way. Okay?
Mm, okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Very
Hare
good.
Mataji.
Krishna.